So our question of how much conflict is occurring, that can be quite difficult. As many of you may know, ACLED collects all reported and recorded events of political violence and demonstrations. And so what we find is that over the 240 territories and countries we cover, there is a majority, about 167, that saw at least one incident of political violence within the last 12 months. But the raw number of events can tell us a very important aspect of violence, but can't tell us the full story. So we recorded 139,000 politically violent events worldwide during the last 12 months. And in fact, that was almost matched in the conservative number of fatalities we recorded at 147. But what we were looking for is to try to determine really in which countries are we seeing really quite desperate levels and severe levels of conflict, and where do we have a one-off event that doesn't indicate political and social breakdown. And so to do that, we created a range, which, as I mentioned before, is based on those 4 parameters of deadliness, danger, diffusion, and fragmentation. And we were able to place countries, all the 167, based on how they are weighed in those ranges. And we were able to then, as a result, come up with this index in which Myanmar is, according to our index, the most conflicted, the most violent place in the world at present. It's also the country with the most active groups. So if you will recall, when I mentioned fragmentation, it referred to how many active groups, non-state active groups, that are armed and organized within your territory and conducting violence. And of course, Mexico is our most dangerous country to civilians. Ukraine is the most deadly in terms of the number of fatalities as a ratio to events, and Palestine has the most diffuse violence across its territory, which of course, being a relatively small place, that is in some ways influenced by that, which Kadian will discuss. But many of the countries that you would expect to see on this list are either in the extreme area, which is the red here, or in the high area, which is the salmon color.